Hi folks, HR Funk here with a midweek update to tell you about a brand new rifle scope that I just received from Optics Planet. What I have here is a Vortex Crossfire 2 forward mounting rifle scope, and you can see that I've got it attached to a SOCOM 16 rifle. To see this scope in action, check out my upcoming part 2 of my video review of the SOCOM 16. But for now, for the midweek update, let's take a close look at this Crossfire 2 rifle scope. Now, as I said, the Crossfire 2 is a forward-mounting rifle scope. The reason for that nomenclature is, as you can see, the scope is mounted forward out over the barrel instead of in the traditional location for a rifle scope, which is back here near the receiver. From now on, I'm just going to refer to this as a scout scope because this is the classic scout scope mounting orientation. The Crossfire 2 is a variable magnification optic from 2 power to 7 power, and the one-piece main tube is 1 inch in diameter, manufactured from aircraft-grade aluminum alloy. It has a 32 millimeter objective and is finished in a matte black hard coat anodizing. The lenses of the Crossfire 2 are fully multi-coated, and they feature a special anti-reflective coating to help the image in the scope to be brighter and clearer. And that's one thing that I have noticed with this scope, and I like that quite a bit. It has a very bright image, which helps out with that forward mounting, because when you have the traditional location of the scope, you get more light being transmitted to your eye directly from in front of it, whereas with the forward mounted optic, you have to look a greater distance, and that brighter image really does help when using this scope. The scope is nitrogen purged and O-ring sealed to make it waterproof and fog-proof, and it also features a shock-proof construction. The Crossfire 2 has generous eye relief, which works well in this forward mounting position, and it has a fast focus eyepiece for focusing the reticle. The power ring moves very smoothly, as you can see, and the tension is just about right to allow easy setting of the magnification, but to also help guard against inadvertently having it moved when you don't want it to be. The windage and elevation turrets are finger adjustable, and they're calibrated in 1/4 minute of angle clicks, and you can see the markings are very visible, and the caps can also be re-indexed to 0 once you've finished setting up the scope and properly zeroing your rifle. The Crossfire 2 is now zeroed to this SOCOM 16, but I purposely did not re-index the turrets because I wanted to demonstrate that in this video, and it couldn't be much easier. I'm simply going to loosen this center screw. At this point, I can remove the cap, re-index it to the 0 marking, reinstall it, and if you can see that, the 0 lines up perfectly with the index mark on the scope body. Now I simply retighten the screw, and the cap is reset to 0 just that quickly and easily. I have noticed that the clicks on the Crossfire 2 for windage and elevation are a little mushy. They're not tremendously distinct, so you do have to pay attention when you're making your adjustments to make sure you're putting the proper amount of adjustment on for the sight correction that you need to make. The Crossfire 2 uses Vortex's V-Plex reticle, which I like for this type of a scope. It's heavy enough to allow good visibility from this extended eye relief distance, but it's also fine enough to allow for precise and accurate shooting. This is a second focal plane scope, meaning the reticle stays the same size all the way through the entire magnification range. And One thing I have noticed, speaking of adjusting the magnification, is at the full magnification, at 7 power, the edges of the image start to become a little bit distorted. The center of the image is still bright and clear, and you can still make accurate shots, but I do notice that distortion at 7 power. Really though, with a Scout Scope setup, most of the time you're going to be using it at the lower magnification settings for that wide field of view and rapid target engagement. About the only time you're going to use the maximum magnification is for zeroing the scope, and maybe once in a while if you want to bench the rifle and just try to shoot some groups. But overall, in the field, you'll be using the lower magnifications, so you shouldn't have to worry at all about that distortion in the image. The Crossfire 2 is covered by the Vortex VIP warranty, and it retails for about $150. I've been using this scope now for about a week, and during that time I found it to be a pretty good optic for that entry-level price. And that's going to do it for the up-close look at the Vortex Crossfire 2 Scout Scope. Again, to see it in action, check out part 2 of my upcoming video review of the Springfield Armory SOCOM. And that's going to do it for this midweek update. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you leave those for me. Remember, if you buy anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 5% off anything you purchase from Optics Planet. See you next time, folks. And until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.